Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you for the third episode, My Sweet Lord. One of the great Vaishnava Acharya writes, Adharam Madhuram. He says, Oh Krishna, your lips are very sweet. Nayanam Madhuram. Your eyes are very sweet. Vadanam Madhuram. Your entire face is sweet. And he goes on to describe every aspect of Lord Krishna as sweet. It is something like the gulab jamun. When you take gulab jamun, whether you bite the gulab jamun from the top, it is sweet, or you bite the gulab jamun from the bottom, it is sweet, or you bite the gulab jamun from the side, it is still sweet. In fact, the gulab jamun is sweet from any angle that you bite. Similarly, when we associate with Krishna, the greatness of Krishna is that from any angle you approach Krishna, whether somebody is blessed by Krishna, is sweet. Even when somebody is killed by Krishna, still the consequences are sweet. It is Achintya Gunaswarupam. So Krishna is the sweetest. In this way, the sweet Lord, my sweet Lord, your sweet Lord, everybody's sweet Lord, Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam, is going to make his divine appearance. Sambhavami yuge yuge. I appear millennium after millennium. And we are here to hear about him, to talk about him, and to develop the sweet feelings for Lord Krishna for his appearances. I once again welcome all of you to the third episode of My Sweet Lord. In today's episode, we are going to see how sweet Lord Krishna reciprocated to two of his devotees and how this Krishna so sweetly solved the devotees' difficulties in such a way that the whole world today glorifies them. So let's begin. This pastime of Lord Krishna happened about 400 to 500 years back. And this pastime is centered around the deity called Govinda Deva in Jaipur. Today, the Lord is present in the temple of Sri Radha Govinda Temple in Jaipur Palace. About 400 years back, when our country was ruled by the Mughals and the whole country was going under a great turmoil. And there was one lunatic king and kind of destroyed most of the temples. And by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 6 Goswamis had come to Vrindavana and they had built, established magnificent temples for Lord Krishna in Vrindavan. And one of such temple was Sri Govinda Deva temple. That was personally built by Sri Rupa Goswami by spending 1 crore rupees 500 years back. Let me tell you, he spent 1 crore rupees 500 years back. You can imagine what a magnificent temple it must have been. It was a 7-story temple meant for Govinda's worship. And later when this lunatic king Aurangzeb attacked, he was actually destroying the temples and the deities. The great devotees at that time, they were extremely concerned about the Supreme Lord Krishna who was present in the form of the deity. and especially the three deities who were personally carved by Krishna's great grandson Vajranabha. Vajranabha, with his own hands, about 5,000 years back, had carved the three deities, Sri Govinda, Sri Gopinatha, Sri Madana Mohana. And those same deities were worshipped by great acharyas in generations after generation, and Rupa Goswami had built a great temple. And when Aurangzeb attacked this temple, the Jaipur king, he came and he with all his army, he came, he protected the Vigraha of Govinda and he shifted it to his own city. At that time, the Jaipur was not there. The Jaipur city was not existing. They were ruling from a place called Amer. It was called Amer Fort. So, and there was a place by name Govindapura. Govindapura means a place where Lord Govinda stays. So the deity was established there. And that Jaipur king had one son, and his name was Jai Singh. Because this king built the city, it became Jaipur. Jaipur has got the name Jaipur because this king built that city. And this boy, the Jai Singh, who was then only 7 years old, he would visit Vrindavan with his father for some political purpose because his father was in charge of protecting the caravans passing from Mathura to Agra. So, and also his father was a great devotee of Lord Krishna. He would visit Vrindavan, have great meetings with great acharyas like Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami and all that. And this boy, from his very young age, as Prahalad Maharaj tells in Bhagavatam, Kaumaram achareto prajno dharman bhagavataniha. From very young age, if somebody is exposed to Bhagavata Dharma, what is Bhagavata Dharma? It's about how to love Krishna. Bhagavata Dharma is all about how to awaken our love for Supreme Lord, our sweet Lord Krishna from very young age. Today, the Bhagavata Dharma has been replaced by Bollywood Dharma or Kollywood, Tollywood, some such kind of dharma. And what are they awakening in our heart? They're awakening how to love some ordinary people in this world. But actually, Bhagavata Dharma explains the purpose, the goal of human form of life is to awaken our eternal love for Krishna. So this boy who was 7 years old, he was so fortunate that he happened to visit Vrindavan with his father and happened to have darshan of the Supreme Lord Krishna in Vrindavan in the form of the Archa Vigraha, the deities, and also happened to hear the Katha from the great Acharyas. So because of this, he had developed great attachment. This boy, Jai Singh, who went on to become the king of the Jaipur kingdom, that was one of the famous Rajputs kingdom of that place. So when he became king, and by then he had become a great devotee of Lord Krishna. And by then already Lord Krishna in the form of Govinda was shifted to Jaipur. And so he would every day go and worship and glorify the Lord in this way, because the king himself would go and worship Govinda. The Govinda became very famous in his town and entire kingdom. And what happened? Actually, the king's wife, she was a follower of another sect called Ramanandis, who would worship Narayana in the form of Lakshmi Narayana or Sitaram, like that. And they were part of the king, entourage and palace and all that. So suddenly now, when this king started worshipping Krishna, their values started diminishing. They felt threatened. Now they felt they've lost their prominence, and they, with their materialistic consciousness, they went and created some kind of a controversy. Their controversy was Their allegation was, according to them, this Radha Krishna worship is not authorized. They said Radha and Krishna cannot be kept together, cannot be worshipped together because Radha and Krishna are not married. They're not married, so they cannot be kept together. They cannot be worshipped together. So the two deities cannot be staying together in the altar. So these two deities should be separated. This was their allegation. And in fact, they went on to be offensive and say that the worshippers of Lakshmana, the Gaudiya worshippers, they're not authorized. And they are just some kind of upstarts and who have come up with this idea called Radha Krishna worship. So this is all not accepted. So they raised this kind of an concern and allegation. And king, who was personally devotee of Govinda, and he would worship Radha Govinda, and he would started feeling extremely pain at his heart by hearing this kind of an allegation. And and also at the same time, he's a king and he had to be neutral. He had to allow everybody to present their opinions, and he has to clarify that. And king actually heard them, and he told them, okay, but king studied the varieties of the writings, the acharyas who had written so many books explaining Radha Krishna worship, and he presented his philosophy. But the Ramanandis, they rejected it. They said, this is all bogus. We cannot accept it. So you have to separate Radharani from Krishna, and you cannot keep Radharani in the altar. And king became extremely broken-hearted. Radharani should be separated from Krishna, and he's such a nice devotee. It was unbearable for him, but he couldn't help. And so what he did, he in order to be neutral, king at that time was helpless, and he had to remove Srimati Radharani from the altar and had to be kept somewhere else. And immediately king, he got this idea, okay, let me contact some of the great stalwarts, acharyas, who are living in Vrindavana, and they can come and defeat these people, present their understanding and the scriptural evidences. This can be refuted. In this way, the king wanted to get one of the great stalwart acharya at that time called Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, who was living in Vrindavan and who was the main prominent leader of the Krishna devotees in Vrindavan. And so now the king wanted to get him to Jaipur, and he wanted to defeat these people. And I request all of you to try to understand what king must be going through at that time. King, from very young age, was attached to Lord Krishna in the form of Govinda. It was for him like separating father and mother. Radha and Krishna are father and mother for Jai Singh, king of Jaipur. And somebody tells him that they should be separated because they have their own understanding of that, because they are not married, according to their own understanding, and many such things. And king was going through excruciating pain that my mother, Srimati Radharani, is separated from Krishna, and Krishna's eternal pleasure potency, Radharani, Ahladini Shakti, is separated from Krishna. And it is not even good to see Krishna alone like this. Just like if you are a child, and when somebody tells your mother should be separated from father, or father should be separated from mother, how do you feel as a child? In fact, a child can go through a great amount of traumatic experience. The entire childhood can get upset because of such separation. The king was going through that kind of an experience. And now the only hope for him was that somehow get a great devotee from Vrindavan who could resolve this problem. And when he sent some of his servants to Vrindavan to look for Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the news came back, and the news was not so positive. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur had become extremely old. He was not in a position to travel. Not only that, even to search for him. It was so difficult because Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was living in some of the caves of Govardhana Hill and he was not visible to public. So it was extremely difficult to locate where he was living. So when king heard, and he became extremely upset. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindho, hey Krishna, the ocean of mercy, now only you have to guide me. In this way, when king started offering prayers and the next set of the servants came and gave him the positive news, okay, finally we have figured out where is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and we are speaking to him. And finally, the king was a little feeling better. And then the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who was hearing about the entire development, was very upset. He said, how these Ramanandis have separated Radha and Krishna. It is totally offensive. And how it is allowed. And yes, somebody has to go from here and defeat those people and give them the right befitting answers for their questions. At that time, actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was not in a position to travel. He was very old. And then immediately Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remembered his own disciple who was as effulgent as the sun. That is Baladeva Vidya Bhushan. And he immediately called for Baladeva Vidya Bhushan and his disciple came. And both of them discussed and said that, look what has happened. How these Ramanandis have come up with this kind of wrong assumption and they dare to separate Radha and Krishna, and you must go and present these topics. And when Vidya Bhushan heard this, he was furious. He was angry. He was upset to hear that Radha and Krishna, Radha, Govinda, they are separated. How can it be tolerated? And he said, okay, I will immediately start and I will go and I will tackle this matter. And finally, Vidya Bhushan, Baladeva Vidya Bhushan, he reaches Jaipur. And when he reaches Jaipur, nobody was there to even welcome him. He was so young and people thought, what this young boy will do? Ramanandis are extremely scholarly. They're well-read and they're highly established in king's court. And they are older people and this man looks so young and nobody knows his name. Of course, we all know Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, but this young man we don't know. So how can we have confidence? How can we give such a big matter in the hands of this young man? Imagine some of the most important matter of your family. If you see a young lawyer in the court, do you feel confident to give in his hands? Do you think that this man will get you victory? No. So he was not welcome. And Baladev Vidya Bhushan, he sent a message to king that I, the servant of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, I have come here to defend Govind Dev Ji. And it was even difficult for him to get the audience with the king. Because, everybody was thinking what this young boy will do. And finally, when Baladev Vidya Bhushan got to meet King Jai Singh, and after Jai Singh interacted with him, he felt a kind of confidence. And finally, the king thought in his heart, because he was going through a lot of pain, and he said, if Krishna, the Supreme Lord, can bless, can empower, and if he can make this boy present the truth and make the matter resolved, then it is a big miracle. So king said, okay, tomorrow we will have this matter heard. So tomorrow, the next day, all the people were called and the Baladev Vidya Bhushan walks in to the king's court. And all the scholars and the news had spread everywhere. All the great people, the great scholars, the well-known panditas And all such people had gathered to see this, because actually why it became such a big topic, because the king was personally involved. And the Govindji, the Krishna, was very dear to king. The king had become such an ardent devotee, and it had become like, the king's matter. And everybody was interested to know how this matter will be heard and what will happen, what will be the consequences, because whoever wins, they will have more political power and more religious influence in the Jaipur kingdom, at least from the materialistic point of view. But for devotees, it was a matter of the Lord. It was a matter of Krishna's love. And in this way, when Baladev Vidyabhushan comes and he says, "Oh, my dear king, can I please be allowed to speak? And I would like to present my, my points to defend the worship of Radha and Krishna." Then immediately the Ramanandi scholars, they broke in, they stood up and they said, "Okay, so you are that man who have come from Vrindavana? Okay." So they immediately started asking him, "Look, Mr. Baladev Vidyabhushan, the way you people worship Radha and Krishna is not authorized. And your entire parampara is not authorized. That is our first objection." And immediately Baladeva Vidyabhushan replied with great humility, "My dear sir, I note your concern, but I would like to bring it to your notice that I have taken initiation from a Madhva Acharyas. So I belong to one of the great four Sampradayas. And what is that four Sampradaya? The Padma Purana says, Shri Brahma Rudra Sanaka Vaishnava Kshiti Pavanaha Chaturvaste Kalau Bhavya Hi Utkale Purushottama. It is said Shri Brahma Rudra Sanaka. There is a Shri Sampradaya, Brahma Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, and Sanaka. So I belong to Brahma Sampradaya, to Madhvacharya. And when the Ramanandis heard this, they were actually shocked. They did not expect this. They wanted to defeat him and send him off just by raising this objection. And when they heard that he belongs to one of the authorized parampara, and next they prepared themselves and they said, "Okay, you may belong to Madhva Sampradaya, but you don't follow Madhva's system. In the Madhva's system, they only worship Lakshmi Narayana, because Lakshmi Narayana are married, and you don't worship, you worship Radha Krishna, and Radha Krishna worship is not being practiced. So in this way, you people are not allowed to practice all those things. It is irreligious and apasampradaya. Hence, Radha and Govinda should be separated." And then Baladeva Vidyabhushan, when he again started to speak, some more people attacked him and told him that, "Look, man, if you claim that you belong to Madhva Sampradaya, then you must follow the commentary given by Madhvacharya and Vedanta Sutra. And as per the commentary given by Madhvacharya and Vedanta Sutra, this kind of Radha Krishna worship is not accepted." And when Baladeva Vidyabhushan heard this, he immediately thought in his mind, actually, Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, and when he incarnated, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya, Radha and Krishna appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, he accepted Srimad Bhagavatam that promotes Radha Krishna as the supreme couple as the commentary to Vedanta Sutra. And in fact, the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra, Sri Vedavyasa, and the author of Sri Bhagavatam, both are Vedavyasa. So there was no need to write a Gaudiya commentary to this. But he knew if he tells all these things, Ramanandis will not accept. The only solution to this problem was to produce the commentary to Vedanta Sutra defending Radha Krishna worship. Now, let me tell all of you. When Baladeva Vidyabhushan replied, "Okay, I honor all of your words. We do have a commentary and we will present it." The moment he told that there is a commentary, all the Ramanandis who were objecting to this, they were all shocked. They did not expect this coming, and they said, "Oh, is it? Then you bring it on. Let us see the veracity of that." And immediately Baladev Vidyabhushan said, "It is not there. I'll have to write it." and I will present it. When they heard this, they were shocked. What are you saying? Do you even know what statement are you making? How audacious you are, saying that I will write commentary and Vedanta Sutra? Many of you may not know actually what is the meaning of this statement. Vedanta Sutra is extremely intellectual and the most authoritative the work written by Vyasadeva. And there are only 5 acharyas in the history of 5,000 years. They have written commentary: Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva, Vallabha, and Nimbarka. These are the only 5 people who have written commentary, explanation to Vedanta Sutra in the 5,000 years, because it is considered they're extremely complicated, they're extremely difficult to understand. Forget about reading Vedanta Sutra. Even reading the commentary written by these acharyas is highly impossible. They are such complicated matters. And it is like somebody say the first standard. Imagine the primary school boy, the elementary school boy making a statement, I will write a PhD thesis for this matter. You will be surprised. What is this boy talking? You're like a first standard student and you're saying that I will write a PhD thesis for such and such topic. It will be ridiculous, or it looks audacious. It appeared to them, and they were about to reject that kind of a statement, because how can somebody make joke like this? It is impossible. By then the king who was hearing this, the king of Jaipur, Jai Singh, he immediately said, yes, the time is granted, but let me tell you, till you produce the commentary on the Vedanta Sutra explaining the legitimacy of Radha and Krishna worship, I'll have to separate Radharani from Krishna, Govinda. And in this way, they asked him how many days. And then they were expecting that he is going to take years and years and years, because it generally takes so many years to write commentary. Then Baladeva Vidyabhushan knew in his heart that he cannot allow Radha and Krishna to be separated like this. He has to do something. He said, I will bring as early as possible. Please give me some time. Then after this, the assembly was dissolved. And then Baladeva Vidyabhushan, he walks all the way. He comes to Govindapura, where Radha and Krishna was worshipped, but Radharani was separated now. He stands before Krishna, Govinda, and he offers this prayer. He says, Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Deva Upreshtali Visebhyamanam Smarami. He said, hey Krishna, who performs pastimes in Divyad Vrindaranya, in the forest of Vrindavana, with your gopis and all that, and you enjoy. And here, how can I bear that the highest gopi, Srimati Radharani, has been separated from you? Krishna, I have come here on the order of your servant Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur. They all desire your great devotee. The king is going through the pain, is going through separation. He's feeling that, the such heartbreaking pain. And you allow me to defend you. If you allow me, if you empower me, because now I'm speaking on behalf of you. I have to bring Radharani back to you. I have to reunite both of you. I have to see both of you together. Krishna, I'm a young man. I do not know much. And I'm definitely not scholarly person. What can I do? I'm like a puppet. And you, if you wish, make me dance, make me dance. However you make me speak, however you inspire in my heart, I will be able to produce this. I don't know. How can I just spoke because I could not tolerate. I just told I will bring commentary and Vedanta Sutra. What a joking statement I myself think, because only 5 great Acharya, and who am I? I'm no one. Krishna, you please save me. In this way, Baladeva Vidyabhushan was actually piteously praying to Govinda. He was praying, Krishna, please help me, please help me. How will I do this? How can I achieve this unimaginable task of producing the commentary? And in this way, when he was praying, and he was staying in the temple, Lord Krishna, Govinda, appeared before Baladeva Vidyabhushan. He was so pleased with the pure intentions of king and this devotee Baladeva Vidyabhushan. He said, oh my dear Baladeva Vidyabhushan, do not worry. I will personally dictate you the commentary on Vedanta Sutra, and you go on writing it, and in this way you will be able to finish this task. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter, Tesham, he says that Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam enamam upayantite. Krishna says, if anybody out of love, they want to worship me, I will give them intelligence. It is Krishna's own statement. Krishna says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Out of love, if you want to do something for Krishna, Krishna says, Dadami buddhi yogam, I will give them the intelligence. And here Krishna was doing it. Krishna said, I will speak. I will give explanation because it is me. In the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in the 15th chapter, 5th verse, that Vedanta Krit Aham. He says that it is me who compiled the Vedanta Sutra. It is me who produced all the Vedas and Upanishads and Vedanta Sutra. So I will personally speak now the commentary. So you just go on recording it. Just like you all know how Vyasadeva spoke Mahabharata and Ganesha, he went on writing it. The similar way, actually, Lord Krishna, Govinda, and he said, I will speak and you write it. And next 7 days, it is said, next 7 days, day and night, without any break, Lord Krishna, in the form of the Govinda Deva, he went on speaking and speaking and speaking, explaining every aspect of Vedanta Sutra. And Baladeva Vidyabhushan, with the rapt attention, went on writing. And finally, in just 7 days, it was unimaginable. It was never happened in the history, in the entire history, such a thing. Na bhuto, na bhavishyati. Never happened in the history, never will happen in the future. Because Krishna was personally involved, in just 7 days, the entire commentary work, just like a first standard primary school boy, he wrote a thesis for a PhD topic. And he produced, and finally the news reached that commentary is ready. And now I can come and speak, I can produce this. And everywhere there was jubilation. The king was praying and praying and praying in his palace. Hey Krishna, hey Govinda, please allow me to worship you. Please allow me to worship you with your divine consort, Srimati Radharani, Radha Govinda. Please save me. Please, give victory. In this way, actually, Krishna is the real author. The today's title was The Author. Even though the whole world considers Baladeva Vidyabhushan as the author of the commentary, but Baladeva Vidyabhushan considers Govinda as the author of the commentary on Vedanta Sutra. So Baladeva Vidyabhushan comes to the king court and he presents, and Ramanandis, they think this young boy, like some professors in the university like Harvard, they think, okay, first standard student, you have written thesis, we will defeat you, we will refute you in 5 minutes. With that kind of an impudence, with that kind of an attitude, they actually took that the great work that Krishna himself had personally spoken, and they started reading, and they were speechless. They were just not able to figure out any mistake in that. And they said, okay, we accept it, but tell us how Radha Krishna worship can be followed. And then Baladeva Vidyabhushan said in the 3rd chapter, shloka number 40 to 42, it is very clearly explained by Sri Vyasadeva, who is the original author of the Vedanta Sutra, that the Supreme Lord can have relationship with his energies either in the Swakiya Rasa or Parakhiya Rasa. Both are valid, and Swakiya Rasa is Lakshmi Narayana, Sita Rama, and Parakhiya Rasa is Radha and Krishna. It is beyond the material understanding, transcendental matter. Both are authorized. And when the Ramanandis heard this with this kind of a great eloquence, with great confidence, with quoting the shlokas from Vedanta Sutra, they were just flabbergasted. And next, again, they had another objection, how Krishna can be worshipped without worshipping Narayana. And then again, Baladeva Vidyabhushan quoted the 3rd chapter of the Vedanta Sutra, the 43rd verse, explained by Vyasadeva. Like this, he explained how Krishna is, the source of all the incarnation. Govinda Madi Purusham, Tamaham Bhajami, Sarvakarana Karanam. And he totally defeated them. And the young boy, when he came, his welcome was not heralded by anybody. Nobody even took notice of his arrival to Jaipur. Nobody even thought that this man will bring victory. Nobody even thought that this young man is scholarly. They were all thinking, oh God, we are doomed. We are finished. I think Radha and Krishna will be separated. But finally, by his devotion, with his love, he captured Krishna. Like, with sweet Lord was captured by his devotee Vidyabhushan. Krishna spoke personally, Govinda Bhashya, and in this way he defeated. And when king saw, king was about to jump and dance out of jubilation because he was waiting for this moment. It was a momentous celebration, and king declared that Gaudiya Vaishnava is the most authorized because they have the commentary and Vedanta Sutra. Radha Krishna is authorized because Vedanta Sutra supports, and Baladeva Vidyabhushan has demonstrated today. In this way, I order Radha and Govinda be united again forever, and nobody dare to separate them again. And immediately Radharani was brought back to Krishna in the altar, and king and the Baladeva Vidyabhushan, with tears in their eyes, heart brimming with love, they rush, they go and see Radha, Govinda together, and they offer their prayers. Divya Vrindaranya Kalpa Drumadad Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanastau Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prestali Bisevyamanam Smarami. Hey Krishna, Hey Karuna Sindho, Hey Dina Bandho, today, because of your mercy, your blessings, it is said, Mukam Karoti Vachalam. I am Muka. I'm a dumb man. I don't know anything. I'm like useless. And you made me present this Vedanta Sutra Bhashya to such great stalwart scholarly people like Ramanandis and defeated them. Hey Krishna, this Bhashya that personally spoken by you should be known as Govinda Bhashya. And this victory that people are thinking that I'm successful, I'm victorious, it's not my victory, my dear Lord. It is your victory. In this way, Baladeva Vidyabhushan dedicated the success, that victory, to Govinda and called Vijaya Govinda. Vijaya means success, the victory, victorious Govinda. Govinda, it is not my victory, it is your victory. In this way, the king was so happy. And king was so happy that he built the big temple for Govinda in his palace. Actually, the king shifted from his palace out, and he brought Govinda Deva, Sri Radha Govinda, and he installed in a great palace where king was living, and he made an official declarement. What was that? Shri Radha Govinda Deva Charana Sevyai Jaya Singh. It means that I am Jaya Singh, who is the servant of Shri Radha Govinda. Not only that, the king was such a nice devotee, such a great devotee. He officially declared during 1717, you can even go to history and check this. During the 1717, he officially declared that Sri Radha Govinda are the official queen and king of Jaipur city. And then what about him, the king? He said, I am the minister, or I am the servant of the king Govinda. I am not the king. The Krishna is the king of Jaipur. In this way, a big palace was built and Krishna was made an official king of the kingdom. Have you ever heard? The people, they work so hard, they fight, they do so many things to become king, and here the king became servant and made Krishna as the king of the Jaipur. In this way, Krishna, the sweet Lord, he performed this beautiful pastime by coming in the form of the deity and speaking the commentary, the bhashya on a Vedanta Sutra, and bringing the whole victory to all the devotee community. So Srila Prabhupada, if you read Srila Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita as it is, the first page, the moment you open, you will see Srila Prabhupada dedicates his book. Srila Prabhupada has dedicated Bhagavad Gita as it is to Baladeva Vidyabhushan, who received Govinda Bhashya from Krishna himself. So that is the greatness of this devotee, Baladeva Vidyabhushan, who made Krishna speak commentary, Govinda Bhashya. So Krishna is such a sweet Lord, and he doesn't let his devotees have any troubles in his life. He will come, he will help us, and he will make us successful and victorious. So this is today's the sweet loving exchange of Krishna, my sweet Lord. Thank you all for coming and joining today's session. And tomorrow, same time, we will join here for another extremely sweet and wonderful pastime that we will hear tomorrow. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.